Welcome to Parenting Different, a place where real adoption stories come to life. My name is Anna Bernacki, and this is the Parenting Different podcast. Hello, welcome to the Parenting Different podcast. Today we have Alexander King with us, and I am so excited to get to talk with him. He's an adoptee, and we are going to have a chat about all kinds of things around adoption and music. Alexander, introduce yourself to us and tell us a little bit about who you are.
Yeah. Hi, Anna. Thanks so much for having me on. It means a lot. I'm a director and production designer based in Los Angeles. I grew up in Chicago, and uh, I have been on this journey this past year um, in hopes of shooting a short dance film this November. Um, it's about adoption. I was adopted from Ukraine when I was about 2 years old. And it's been like a year of me. I've never talked about adoption to people before, specifically my adoption. And, and like out of the blue, I was just like, well, it'd be interesting to do a video about adoption. I knew that I wanted there to be two people in this film. And as I was talking more to my mom, my birth mom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because what do you call it? We were talking earlier about the adoption plan versus being saying put up for adoption. So now I'm like I don't know how to properly what to say. um,
It's
but
hard when it's new and you're just kind of entering this world and it's so much of who you are, but yet, yeah, where do you fit in it? It's tough to navigate and figure it all out.
it's so weird because it's like it's a fact that I've always known about myself, and I just am figuring out how to even talk about it. And the more I talk about it with my mom, um, not my birth mom, I it just opened up so much for me, and it made me want to understand my birth mom more.
Mm-hmm.
I think I spent a lot of my life really upset at her, but I would take that anger out on members of my family, or I can hold a resentment. And I think some of that stems from like this anger of um, like literally being physically, let go of. Um, so, I'm a dancer, and I've always used movement and dance as a way to express myself. So I started I'm shooting this short dance film in November. We're raising funds right now. And through this whole campaign and fundraising that we've been doing, I came across your Instagram page. I don't know if it was your personal or your parenting different one, but I just was like, oh, this is great. Where you were adopted and you also adopted children. And
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was just I was like, let me reach out to this person. Um, and it was so lovely to meet you when we did. And now I'm here. So that's like a
Yeah.
little bit about me. I think what about your page I really resonated with was just like, I don't know, it's like giving facts. I feel like with adoption, it's about like facts of like, this is what happens. And also like everyone's emotional experience is so
Mm-hmm.
different. And like, how do
Yeah.
you offer that and talk about that? That's something I'm still figuring out.
Yeah, well, I am too. I'm still figuring it out too. And I don't think it's anything that you ever arrive at. I think your feelings towards your own adoption, towards adoption in general, it constantly changes and evolves. I mean, there was a time when I would have said adoption is the greatest thing ever, and I'm so glad I was rescued. And now I can look at it and go, okay, maybe rescued isn't the right word. I don't think that I was rescued. I have a very different life, but I also am not going to sit here and be angry at the fact that I was adopted because I had no control in it. And I still don't have control in it. So I think it's all about owning your own story. And yeah, you are going to have there were things I never acknowledged, that there was a layer of grief in adoption, until I had adopted my own kids and watched them grieve. And I was like, oh, that's what I was feeling. And then naming that. And so your feelings constantly evolve, and I don't think you ever arrive. You're always going to be searching and navigating that process and your story as you grow and learn more in life. But I'm so glad you reached out to me. I'm really glad we connected, because we have a lot in common. I think one of the things that we have in common is our love of music. Music was such a huge part of my life growing up, and I am very, very thankful that my family invested in all the music lessons and the orchestras and the choirs and tours and all of the things that I did with music, because that was such, now looking back, I don't think I acknowledged it at the time, but looking back, I think that was such a lifeline for me. And tell me a little bit about your journey through music. Like, how did it start? How did you get here with music?
Yeah.
Because I think that's such a, you've made it
I,
your life.
what I was just gonna say was, because I was thinking about it, because you told me that because you went to school for vocals, for you were
Hmm.
a vocal
Yeah.
major,
Yeah.
um, and I was always in choirs in high school and theater. I've having all these revelations about my own adoption because I've never thought about it, but I think that I've always had this yearning for community,
Yes.
and like I've really been able to experience what it means to fit in and what it means to belong. And like for me, my
100%.
safe place was always choirs or theater groups, because I really felt like I belonged and I
Yeah,
could be authentically myself. I think that came from part of that. I think was just every human need to want to, be part
for
of something.
sure. Yeah.
And um, it's interesting that we both went the music route. I played piano and I was in choir.
Okay.
Um, and then I went to musical theater school for 2 years. Then pandemic happened, and then I left that dream fizzle out, which is okay because I still use it. And I
Yeah,
think I don't know about you, but like I learned life skills in choir. Like we weren't
absolutely.
just stepping
Yes.
and snapping; we were making change.
Yep. Yeah.
I should ask is like, what is your background in music? Were you playing instruments? Was it always vocals?
Yeah, it was kind of all the above. So I started with piano. So then I started taking flute lessons, and
Yeah.
I loved it. And then somewhere in high school, I decided that I was tired of flute, and I was still doing it, but I was like, I want to sing. So just kind of like as a side thing for fun, I was like, let me start taking voice lessons. Well, then I really fell in love with that, and that was all classical as well. So classical music was my love.
Find that like that music education, are you able to look back and be like, oh, like I was really going through a lot in regards to adoption and I didn't even know it, but like music, like was that a safe space for you? I mean, you kind of already said
100%.
that, but like I'm interested in looking back on it and versus what you were experiencing in the moment of doing it,
Yeah,
like for you.
100%. And I didn't recognize it at the time, but especially in high school, those teen years were so difficult for me finding my identity. I had a closed adoption. I didn't know my birth mom. All I wanted was to be known and seen and heard for who I was. And I think, I mean, any teenager, right? We all go through that phase of our parents don't understand us, regardless. But when you're adopted and you don't have that biological connection, they don't understand you. And so I was searching so hard for someone or somewhere to fit in. Like you said, that community and belonging. And at looking back, that's where I found it, was in music. And that's why I was so, I think, so involved in it, was because it was my home. It was that community. And in that space, I was fully known and understood
Hmm.
as a musician and in that space.
Yeah.
Is that kind of
I,
how you felt too?
that's, yeah. I felt that way a lot in theater. I really enjoyed choir and I felt that
Yeah.
home and community there. I think the first place I felt it though was theater, musical theater, or whatever I was doing because I liked the idea or I liked the act of acting and being somebody else.
Mhm.
I love the community aspect, but I also love like with piano, it's literally me and that instrument, and there's a like tenderness there.
Yes. Yes. I think that, and it almost allows you to escape. And I think too, when we're talking about like parenting and identity and like parenting adopted kids, when your child is really struggling, and maybe you can speak to this too, like as you're struggling with your identity and being able to have this music as an escape from that and be able to find your identity in that and belonging in that. And I think that that can be hard for an adoptive parent to say, well, I want their identity to be in our family. I want them to find wholeness here at home. But sometimes that just isn't the healthiest thing, or that's how they're going to find their way.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about your journey in music and then your relationship with your adoptive mom, too, and how all of that connected together.
With my adoptive mom, so she adopted me as a single woman, um, but I always had a father figure presence in my life. Um, Frank is his name. Um, he passed away 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
Wow.
But he was always a father presence. Um, and I mean, she was, I think for me, what I needed was like, I had a lot of energy. I still have a lot of energy. Um, and again, there was so much going on in my life, but I was always a really bad kid. I would be good at like the education stuff, and I was really smart. I would like to think I'm still smart, but like I wasn't the behavior stuff. Like we had check marks for behavior, and I'd get good grades, and then I'd get all these check marks about exercising self control, um, which I think has a lot to do potentially with adoption. Um, and so
Wheels are turning there. I'm like, you're going somewhere here.
yeah, because it's like I always just and I get it, like especially at that age, so many people want to fit in. And it's just because and it's like I got into a headspace of where almost like I wanted to be so different and I wanted to be so othered in a way because like I think like I physically felt that and I just didn't understand. I remember when my mom told me or like she'd reached out to my birth mother and she she told me that she'd reconnected with her and that I have an older sister when I was 11.
Wow.
And I just didn't understand it. Like I had no idea. I had a photo of her, which was nice, but I remember just crying. But like I literally didn't understand what that even meant, and I always held resentments. I think towards my family because I was so like I just looked different. Like I'm tall and I was blonde, and that was not my family. That is not my family, and those are just facts. And I was, especially at the time, I think like the only gay member in my family. And I just like, and I was a little chubbier than everybody. And like, I just looked different. Um, and so I think that like led to a lot of resentments and made me want to be so different and so like push everybody else. And like, I can get it sometimes. I think it's like a male thing too of like feeling like I need to be Superman, but I think a lot of it came from like this anger I had because like I just didn't understand my situation and I just felt so different. And I think you're right in saying where like with music or with theater or even different like teachers I had along the way, I was able to get really great relationships like with theater teachers or voice teachers because I think I put more energy into that than into my mom or I was so much easier going on a bunch of other people because I was able to like take what I wanted, or I got that sense of family or wholeness.
Mhm.
What I thought was that at that time, I thought it was like that's what they were providing me, and my mom wasn't. But that is not true. I think I had to go through that, and luckily, I have coping mechanisms of piano. Like she still, when we call, because she's still in Chicago, she'll be like, "Are you playing piano?" If I'm, saying I'm stressed out, and she really supports that, and she's always been so supportive of me, and always putting me in different arts programs. And I think I had to go through that whole journey of being really angry and putting up a lot of walls. Whereas in the past year, I have wanted nothing more than to see my family. And when I
Yeah.
do see them, it's like, I don't know, any, like, I didn't, I wanted to be so different, but I just needed to like be me. And once I let go of that and let go of expectations of myself, or these definitions of seeing a kid get picked up by two parents and their dad was their dad and their mom was their mom, and there was a jealousy and a resentment towards that, and because I think I didn't like myself and I held shame, and now I'm slowly beginning to like waft through it and let go of that anger. Does that make any sense? Was that just like,
Yeah. No, it makes a ton of sense. And I think for you, I wonder if you were different in this sense. I always I looked a lot like my adoptive family, and I
hmm
wanted that uniqueness so much. I wanted, because I knew I wasn't like them. So even though I looked like them, and if somebody were to see our family walk in, they would never think anything at all. But I wanted my own uniqueness, but I felt like I had to be different to fit in. Where you, it sounds like, wanted to fit in when you were so
yeah.
different. So for you, it was more letting go of that self expectations,
hmm
where I think for me, it was letting go of the expectations of others and being able to be myself. Do you think that difference is because maybe, and I could be totally wrong on this, but do you think that your adoptive mom saw more of who you were and was able to like place you into these programs in the arts and saw more of who you were than you did at the time? Or do you think because of those outlets that she just naturally put you in just because that helped you escape and then redefine who you were?
I think the first thing you said, I think like I never thought about it that way, but yeah, I think she just knew. She had the instinct. Like she showed me Wizard of Oz when I was 6. She knew I was gay. Like she just like set up, like All About Eve was my favorite movie by the age of 8. Like that's pretty gay.
She knew long
Um,
before you did.
oh yeah, girl, we had the VHS tape, everything. So yeah, I think that's accurate. Did and tell me if this is too personal, but like my mom and I can remember when I was telling you about when I was 11. For me, that was the first time. I'm sure I was told before it, but that was the first time that I had a discussion with my mother about adoption and like what that was. Do you remember, did you have that discussion with your parents? Was it something I didn't, and I chose not to talk about it too much as a kid.
Mhm.
I felt ashamed and I felt really weird. I felt really weird saying the phrase "I'm adopted." It felt weak in some way, and it felt like a laughing thing. Like I don't know, it always felt really small. I don't feel that way anymore. Did you have that conversation, the talk, whatever you want to call it?
Thankfully, no. My parents did that very well, and I am very, very thankful for that I grew up always knowing that I was adopted. The conversation I actually remember is them having to explain to me that not everybody had this mysterious birth mother out there somewhere, because I was wondering why other kids didn't have a birth mother like I did. So I think it was almost the opposite. I will say, as I got older, the conversations, I did resist them as well. It was so personal to me, and
Yeah.
because I didn't know, it was a completely closed adoption. I didn't know anything about her. What I did know was very speculative. A lot of it, like now, um, I've learned because now I've met both my birth mother and my birth father, and what I know now, a lot of it wasn't even true. So, like, just things got mixed up in translation or in communicate. I don't know. It was strange, but I did really resist that because I think just wanted to find out for myself. I don't know. I think part of it too was I knew that my mom wanted me so badly to be like her that I felt like I owed her to not be too interested and to not even though I was obsessed. Like behind like internally, I was obsessed with knowing who I was and where I came from. But I didn't want to show that because I was afraid of what that would mean. And I didn't want to disappoint or hurt. Like I truly didn't want to hurt and I was afraid that me knowing too much about my story would hurt my adoptive parents and I didn't want to hurt them. In a way, I felt like I had to protect them from my desire. Now I know that that's not true and I didn't need to protect.
Yeah. You always hear that you have to embrace what's uncomfortable because sometimes it leads to the best things. And
Yeah.
this has been something I've always been so uncomfortable talking about. And it's like, talking, it just frees you. Everyone goes through different stages. I went through an angry stage, a sad stage,
Yeah.
it never, you never like, and it's been hard to realize it's like, it will always affect you. You're constantly going through those stages. It's like, okay, I'm not angry about that anymore. I have tools. I can, and I can have empathy. I think that's a big thing. Like
Yeah.
I really needed to find, and with this film as well, it's like me trying to find empathy for my birth parents as well as my adopted family. And
Yeah.
like it the world is not against me even though it feels that way.
Right. And I think there's something, and this is so important for adoptive parents to understand, is that like we can talk about the grief and we can talk about relinquishment and the effects that that has on an adoptee. But I think something that I have come to realize is that, and we can even talk about that love isn't enough, right? Like love won't fix this. There is no adoptive parent that's going to love you enough to fix the fact that you were relinquished and that you did have that separation. But I think also, and I would love to hear how you feel about this. I think being wanted and known for who I was is something that I have always longed for and searched for. And the people that I am closest to are the ones maybe who don't, because everybody has a different capacity for love and loves in different ways, right? And shows it in different ways. But to be wanted and for who I am and to be known and somebody wants to know who I am and is curious and constantly seeking that because I'm on the same journey. I want to know who I am too. Like I'm on that same journey, but somebody who wants to be on that journey with me and is curious enough to know who I am means more to me than being loved. Like love, okay, whatever. Like I can get that anywhere. Like it's just not as meaningful to me as being wanted.
Yeah.
I think that's so important for adoptive parents. Like, yes, love your children, but want them and let them know that they are wanted and that you value them for who they are and you want them just as they are.
Yeah. Yeah. I think for me it was the biggest realization was like I need to fix this and this, and then realizing like I don't need to fix anything. It's like because it implies that something's broken, and it's like I've been very lucky, and I think I was just so in my own head and just experiencing attachment stuff for the longest time. I really pushed against my adopted family. And now it's like, oh my gosh, like this is the greatest, like I've been the luckiest, you know? And that is like, that's enough.
Yeah.
Um, and to feel that of the, you know, that I choose, like I was, you chose me for a reason,
Hmm.
um, is, is important. And now, you know, I'm like, I tell people, I'm like, listen, I was chosen to be in this family, you know, like, I, so it's like a point of almost pride and viewing it as that, and not, you know, I'm joking. I don't view it as
No,
one
I get
better
what you're
than the
saying.
other, but um, it feels so much. I don't know. It's like I just, part of me regrets, and I don't like regretting because I can't change the past. It just makes me. I'm just very glad that I am able to see and understand the life I lead now. And I
Yeah.
know that's not everybody's experience. I know that some adoptions are really hard and stay really hard, or you know, maybe sometimes people, you know, you think you want something and you get it, and maybe you don't know how to handle it, and you, I know that there's, that's another thing about adoption, there's so many, every experience is so unique, um and it's just figuring out, it's like you really have to rely on yourself, you know? It's like I'm not relying on myself out of panic mode anymore. It's like I'm relying out of myself as a way to heal, if that
Right.
makes any sense.
Yes, it does. Yeah. So just to go back to your song, I got to hear it and I love it.
I
And I wasn't sure, like, when you sent it to me, I was like, okay, what a song about adoption? Like, what is this?
know. How do you do that?
How do you do that? How has that process been for you? Has it been as healing as you hoped it would be?
I wrote this song. This is crazy because I didn't even, I, you know, I just don't think about these things, and I think about them now and I'm like, oh my God, I wrote this song. Girl, I wrote this song like 7 years ago. I'm realizing, like,
Really?
I wrote the, the very, idea of this song. It was when I was in Philly, and the chorus goes, I'm done singing lullabies for now, which has stayed consistent. A
Hmm.
lot of other parts have changed. And how I had it before was very like more jazz and slow and sad. Um and uh and then I just always had it, you know, in my, all my songs are my notes app, and sometimes I would sing it, you know, if I was whatever. I knew I wanted to do this video. So like a year ago, I was like, I know I have this song that's kind of about adoption, but it was much more on the nose, and it was much more, the song came from, when I first wrote it, came from a place of like, this woman left me.
Mm.
And it was trying to find empathy for this person. And but it would, I don't know if it showed in the lyrics. I should probably bring up the old lyrics at some point. I think I still have them. But when I started rewriting it, I changed the chords a lot. I wanted it to be much more
It's
different,
a
and
very upbeat song. Yeah.
it's an upbeat song. And it
Yeah.
started with just an aesthetic choice. I knew I wanted to do an EDM. I like juxtaposition, so I'm like, I want to do an EDM song with a very like a dance contemporary video, because it's not what you would expect, because you would expect like flashing lights and like party, you know, people partying. Um,
Yeah.
but I started writing it, and I liked the dark undertones of the chords, because adoption is not, you know, always like I'm walking down the yellow brick road.
Right.
So I'm not
No.
easing down that yellow brick road every day. I can tell you that much. Um, and so then I wrote the lyrics, and I just knew that I guess my goal, I remember saying it to myself, is like, I need to understand to the best of my ability right now who my birth mother is. Um, because I had, again, like you were saying with, you know, and I haven't been able to meet mine, but like there's a lot of speculation, and there's a lot of like, and I don't have the answer. I don't know if I'll ever have the answers to that. So I was like, I want to redefine my adopt. Like, I want to like act in a way, and like this is my scene, and I get to define where like what it means. Because I think my greatest fear, every single like working on this video, and it's something I'm still figuring out, because there is this inner fear that I'm making this something so much bigger than it should be. And there's like this weird voice in my head that's going, Alex, it's not that big of a deal. It wasn't that hard for her. And I don't know that. I'll never know that. And it's been really good confronting that. And with the lyrics of this song, it's like, it's been me like going against that and being like, this means something to me, and I need to do this. It's like selfish in a way, but not selfless also, because it's like I don't know, and I know that my head goes to this like negative space, but like for me, I need to forgive this woman for we don't say putting up for adoption. What do we say? I forgot. Making an adoption plan for me.
Got it. Look
Still
at you.
still learning. Still learning. And it's basically like I realized I need to forgive this person. I think I need to like, especially as I'm lucky to look at my life and be like, um, I need to forgive this person. And so then that's what I tried finding in the lyrics. And it's interesting even listening to lyrics now, because some of them sound very sad in a way, or like
Hmm.
there's definitely the lyrics make judgments in them, but it's like what can I say? It's like how I feel. I'm still like the
Right.
idea of the film and of the song is for me to say like I am still processing. This is like welcome to my head for 4 minutes, but I knew I wanted to make the song also uplifting, because I don't want it to be the sad video of like, oh, woe is me. No, it's been a beautiful process, and I'm thankful for every low and every high.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Would,
Well,
would you ever go back to singing at all? Like,
yeah. Yeah,
maybe?
I still sing a little bit here and there, but yeah, I definitely would. Yeah.
Write an adoption opera.
When I have time, when my kids are all out of the house and I'm looking for things to do, I'll keep that on my list.
Did you start? I know you were saying you started parenting different because you wanted to connect with other adoptive parents. Was there, I guess I'm interested in, when did you specifically started, and was there like a moment where your kid said something or you saw something and you're like, I I need this community now. I need this community right now.
So I actually didn't start parenting different. I started like my own Instagram was kind of the beginning of everything. So I started my own Instagram, and then it was after my older two were adopted. And I realized that like I started processing my own adoption. I realized that there was a lot bigger impact of my own adoption plus theirs. They were grieving so heavily. I needed community, and I didn't know really any other adoptive parents. I just desperately needed that community of somehow, some way being able to connect to other people who were walking the same road. Whether they were adoptees or not, I really was just looking for other adoptive parents. So to know that I wasn't crazy, like, please tell me I'm not crazy here. So that's kind of how my own Instagram started. And then Isaac Etter has identity learning. So he's had that for a while. And then he started parenting different this summer. And so I think Isaac and I connected through our individual social medias. We connected around the beginning of the year. And then when he started parenting different, that's kind of then when I came on board with parenting different. So that's more his brain work and his idea. But because of my experience as an adoptive parent and searching for that community, I've loved it, because then I can come in and like, okay, this is what adoptive parents are looking for, and create that community, because we have a platform, it's called Thrive, and in there we host all kinds of webinars, courses, lunch and learns, we do fireside chats, like, plus there's a whole community page where people can ask questions, and there's truly no judgment in there. It's not like your typical Facebook page that go a little wild sometimes. It's just a really special space for adoptive parents to just have that community and connect and understand the journey better, and then also learn. We can learn through each other's experiences and continually seek to do better for our kids. So it's not for the adoptive parent that just sits there and is like, oh, I'm a hero and life is great. It's for the ones who are really digging deep and want to learn and want to continually do better. And it's been such a beautiful place and such an incredible community. And I've absolutely loved it. It's been great.
I mean, that sounds amazing. Just because you're able to, I mean, you're able to just, it sounds so stereotypical, but like you're able to be very human in a way of like,
Yeah.
I like what you're saying, like, I want to do better, and I am continually, right, like even pivoting and trying, how can I show up, and how can I also like I'm not superwoman, like I'm human, like things hurt me. I think that's like giving ourselves grace a lot makes it easier to give others grace. I mean, do you find that through this community that you're still building, that your mindset has changed at all, or have you noticed anything very different from like even a few years ago, mindset wise, or the way, or different, I don't know, tactics, even though I don't like that word, ways. Yeah, you get my
Yeah.
question.
I
Right.
think I think most of all, the change in mindset has just really been around parenting, around connection, and connection above all else. And yes, we want our kids to listen to us and obey us. And yes, we want our kids to make good choices, and we want them to be successful in life. And we are adults. And so we do we know like how we've been there, done that, and we know the path that they should be on, but not everybody follows that same path. And so I think really basing everything off of that connection. So I'm not parenting from a place of, I definitely don't want them to fear me. I don't want them to just obey me, because I want them to be able to have open and honest conversations with me. And yes, we need to learn how to do it respectfully, but it's okay for them to challenge me as their parent too. And we can have those deep conversations, and then also looking too, like, okay, I've got a kid that's absolutely off their rocker. Like, yesterday was a horrible parenting day for me. Like, every single child was doing the most. And so it was one of those things where I have to stop and go, okay, what's underneath this behavior? Is there a trauma trigger? Do they have a need? Are they just hungry? Do they need more connection? Like, what is the need and what is happening that's causing this behavior, rather than just reacting to the behavior? And don't get me wrong, I react to behaviors. I am not perfect. I have my
I do
moments.
too.
But stopping and really thinking about that, and that connection has built such, and I'm going to say, a beautiful relationship. That doesn't mean it's perfect. That doesn't mean we don't have hard days. That doesn't mean we don't go through really, really hard times, especially with my teenagers. But it's built a beauty there where we have the opportunity for repair and to work through that stuff. And it's set that foundation that things will get better. And this isn't the end all be all. So I would say connection over everything has been the biggest change.
Yeah, I think also just, you understand their experience to a certain extent because
Hmm.
everyone's different, but like being able to be like, trust me, I understand
Yeah.
all the questions or all the different, these variety of emotions that can come in. It's like, I know that because I've been through that.
Right.
um and
Yeah. And I don't take
I'm still
offense.
going through that.
Right. And I don't take offense to when a kid says, I don't want to be a part of this family anymore. I never did want to be a part of this family. I didn't ask for this. Fair.
Hello.
You didn't. Also, been there, said that.
Well, I've said that.
So,
Oh, I have used
been there,
that.
said that. And I know it was coming from a place of hurt. It was coming from a place of I don't feel like I belong right now. And I'm hurting, so I want to hurt you too. So I'm going
Yeah.
to say this to hurt you. And I know that. And so then I can go into that conversation. I'm not offended. I'm not because I've lived this. Where another parent, I can see how hard that would be to hear that when you've poured your heart and soul into a child. And but because I've been there, done that and said it, it doesn't bother me. I know exactly where this is coming from. And so that does bring an advantage to adoptive parenting, having been the one who's said all the things.
I've said a lot many, many years ago. Um, but I knew I didn't mean it when I said it. It's a response of like, it again, it had nothing to do with my mom. It was like, I'm not enough right now. It really had nothing to do in a way with her. It was all me not knowing how to process it. And, and I was so lucky to be met with kindness and also with the ability to be like, go to your room, Alex, and like we'll talk about this. Like
Yeah,
have your emotions because it's like you can't deny that. Like if that's what you want to say and that's how you feel in the moment, like you got to feel that
for sure.
because
Yeah,
then hopefully you can feel it and then come 180 and be like, "Oh, I am so thankful I'm part of this family."
yeah. And
And
even
it's
if you aren't thankful that you're a part of the family, like maybe not every adoptee is going to feel super grateful for being a part of a family, but at least like, okay, I didn't mean to be that harsh.
yeah,
Like I was hurting. I was trying to hurt you in that moment. And sorry. I think that is huge. So,
it's so crazy. I think about do you ever have it where you're like think about a memory and you're so embarrassed that you like still feel that memory? I think about that so many times with my mom. I'm like, oh, can't believe I said that. Can't believe I acted that way. And then having grace towards myself and being like, that was a bunch of like my therapist all the time is like, Alex, you got a lot of attachment stuff, and that's just it's
yeah,
how it is, and it's
it
gonna
is.
be learning how to work through that.
Yep, and you just got to yeah, you just have to work through it and continue to grow, and that's all you can do.
Yeah,
Is move
that's
forward
all I
because you
can
can't go
do.
back and change the past.
I know that was another big thing that I really was like, I had to like say out loud to myself and like write down was like, I can't change this. I can't like the what ifs, but maybe it's I can't change this. So it's like in, really embrace it, and embracing it can look and mean so many things. Um, and for me, embracing it is like one step towards that is just talking about it, hearing different experiences, um, and just thinking, about all these, it's just so strange. It's because it's like this. There's no, there's so many books out there, but it's like you just you gotta go through it, and you have these different tools, and part of it is just experiencing it.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much for joining me and being a part of this. I'm so excited for everyone to listen to this. I think there's some really awesome conversations that we had, and hopefully, parents will be able to take something away from this and invest in their adopted kids. And then also go check out Alexander King and his music. I'll link all of your stuff below, wherever this is posted. And we'll hopefully everybody can go check you out and support your music video coming out. I'm so excited.
Yeah, repercussions. Thank you so much, Anna.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that I emailed you or messaged you or whatever I did.
Yeah.
it feels really healing just to, like what you're saying, find a connection with other people.
Yes, for sure. So, well, thank you.
Thank you.